What are the characteristics of language? Words stimulate denotative and connotative meanings. Words stimulate concrete and abstract meanings. Words are culture bound. Words are context bound. First, denotative and connotative meanings. Denotative meanings are restrictive and literal. Connotative meanings are personal and subjective. So when you think about denotative meanings, think about dictionary. The dictionary definitions. They're restrictive and they're literal. They're what's written down in the dictionary. When you think about connotative meanings, think about the complex web of understanding created by people in conversations. These connotative meanings are personal and subjective. My conception of freedom is not the same as your conception of freedom. Bypassing language is a communication problem that arises when the same words mean different things to different people. Bypassing language is a great example of how people attach meaning to words. Concrete and abstract meanings. A word is concrete if we can see it, touch it, smell it, taste it, or hear it. If we cannot, that word is abstract. It's concrete if it's accessible to the five senses. It's abstract if it's not accessible to the five senses. Concrete messages are more clear. Abstract messages are more difficult to understand or agree on. Why is precision important? Answer these questions. John is a heavy smoker, so how many packs of cigarettes does he smoke each week? Pam is too young to get married, so how old is Pam? Deb's GPA is excellent. What is it? Your boss tells you that your coworkers have arrived quite early. How many minutes early? What's quite early mean? Words are culture bound. Culture consists of rules, norms, and values of a group of people that have been learned and shaped from one generation to the next. The meaning of words can change from culture to culture. Words are context bound. Symbols derive their meaning from the situations in which they were used. You probably have heard, "My words were taken out of context." Meanings are affected by the situation. How can language be used effectively? Jack Gibbs' research has been used as a framework to describe supportive communication and defensive communication. Supportive communication is language that creates a climate of trust, caring, and acceptance. Defensive communication is language that creates a climate of hostility and mistrust. The first piece of Gibbs' advice is to describe your own feelings rather than evaluating others. Which of these is more supportive communication? Which of these is more defensive communication? Can you imagine the difference in reaction you get from the other person just by using a more supportive tone? Solve problems rather than control others. I have a problem and I need your help versus you have a problem and you'd better cut it out. Which is more effective? Be genuine rather than manipulative. I would like to buy you dinner because you're such a great friend. I would like you to buy dinner, unsaid, unspoken, is because I'm going to need your help next week moving into my new apartment. Which is more effective? Empathize rather than remain detached from others. I don't care what you do, it doesn't involve me, versus I know this must be hard for you, but I think it might be good for you. Be flexible rather than rigid towards others. Here's one way that you might consider doing it versus here's how you need to do it. I'd imagine most of you have been exposed to both managerial styles, both the flexible and the rigid communication styles. Present yourself as equal rather than as superior. As my subordinate, I need you to, or as my coworker, let's. A last point about effective use of language: avoid gunny sacking. Gunny sacking is reminding someone of past mistakes or issues. Gunny sacking is another example of poison in relational conversations. So this is where we've been. Why focus on language? What is language? What are the characteristics of language? And how can language be used effectively?